Okay, it's time to start, and let me get the camera going here, right? There we go. Okay, from time to time I may have to admit people who are just coming in here at the last second, and that's okay. Okay, I'm going to begin now. What I'd like all of you to do is to have handy paper and a pen. So if you need to go get it, go on ahead and do that. Hopefully it's not too far away. And then when I get to talking about the things that you might want to write down, you'll be able to do that. Now this this whole thing is going to be recorded, and the recording will be available to those people who were unable to make the Zoom meeting, or for those who came in late to the Zoom meeting, or for those others who just want to review something and make sure you have the right things down on paper. Now, I've been at this business for exactly 50 years. That's 50. I started it when I was 21, and now I'm 71. A little over 8 weeks ago, I had bypass surgery, and I'm now doing fine, and I even gave out assignments and did some grading while I was in the hospital. So I've been at this for quite a while, and I actually enjoy what I do. And since I'm coming to you from Gatlinburg, and normally what I do is I travel to West Tennessee to teach in person. And doing it this way is not the best way, but it's what we have for this summer. And I have a huge class, 28 of you all together. And we're going to get finished in 3 weeks, all of us together. And I'll tell you this right at the outset. Nobody will get less than an incomplete. All right? So if you didn't get something done on time, or whatever it turns out to be, that you didn't get all the assignments in by the 29th of May at 11:59, if you didn't get them in, well, you can finish up. My assumption is that some of you work during the day, and maybe some of you work at night. So this is going to be a self-paced thing with goals for each assignment to finish on a certain day at a certain time at the latest, okay? But if for whatever reason this summer you are unable to do that and get everything done by the 29th, I'll assign an incomplete, and you'll finish it up with no penalty whatsoever. So are we agreed on that? Okay, all right. So it's hard to get all this done in 3 weeks, but what I've got set up for you is reasonable. It's not unreasonable. Now, let's see. For the syllabus, and I'm going to give you what you need to know about the syllabus here shortly. For the syllabus, it is in Canvas, and you go down the menu there on the left, and you see the word Files. When you see that word Files, you open it up, and there is your syllabus. But I'm going to give you the important part of it right now. You don't give a flip about the 6 pages. I know. What you all want is to know, what do I have to do, when do I have to do it, and what's the grading scale. That's all you give a flip about. Am I right? So that's what I'm going to give you, and you can look it up if you want to later. Again, in that menu, it's in Files. The syllabus is in there, and you can look at it anytime. Okay, here's the way that it's going to be. It's going to be 3 speeches, and the 3 speeches will count 60% of your grade. With me so far? So whatever the average of your speeches is, that will be that average times 0.60. You will have one, maybe a second test, but not likely. One test, it will be a take-home test, and I'm going to make that available to you so you can look at it tonight, and you will be able to look at the material you're being tested on. Last semester, I gave this same test, and I think there was maybe out of 81 students altogether, I think 2 made 100, but almost everybody made an A or a B. There weren't many C's. So it will be a test over three videos that you're going to be watching, and the test will just be a decision of whether A is the right answer or B is the right answer, and you just write that down, okay? All right? So the test, whatever you make on that, will be multiplied times 0.40. So you add the speeches times 0.60, the average, and the average of the test, which will be your one grade likely, times 0.40, and that's going to be your grade, okay? So that'll be somewhere between 0 and 100%. But I'll just tell you right away that almost every student makes an A or a B on that. There are very, very few exceptions. And again, if you can go back to the material being tested, which I will provide for you, there's no excuse for making less than an A. You're just being careless if you do. Okay? So 3 speeches, 1, maybe 2 tests, but more than likely just 1. Now the speeches will be due on Fridays. So the first Friday will be, what is that, the 15th of this week? Is that what that is, I think? That's when the first speech is going to be due. And I'm going to make available to you on campus the choices that you can make, and whatever choice you make, that's the one you get. You don't have to have my approval or anything. There are 27 topics, and you choose, okay? You choose. That's for the first speech, which is due to be finished by 11:59 on Friday of this week. Now, the way that speech works, it works with, it'll work this way. That speech will be researched. It'll be 5 to 7 plus minutes in length, and you will also use PowerPoint. And I will provide for you tomorrow a sample speech where I have done that. So you will have a sample speech to look at. You will have a topic from which you will select. You will research it. You will create a PowerPoint, and you will record your speech. You don't have to do it live. Record your speech on your phone or your tablet or your computer, and then what I'd like you to do with that speech is put it on YouTube and give me the link. Okay? Now, if you want to deliver it live, all we have to do is arrange a time. But I put stuff on YouTube regularly, and you can do likewise. So you research the speech, you put it on PowerPoint, you deliver the speech to your camera, you upload it to YouTube, you give me the link. So you can see this is pretty much self-paced. And if you have questions, and you need to write this down, I think, if you have questions about anything, do not email me. I won't answer an email. I will sometimes communicate with you by email, but when we get off this conference today, I want you to text me to my phone number, and I'm going to give it to you. So write this down if you will, please. I have a 731 phone number. So it's 731 608 4148. So when we close this today, I want you to text me and all I need to have in the text is your name. Okay, that's it. So if you have questions about anything, feel free to text me anytime, and if it gets too complicated, we can call and talk it out. Okay? All right? So that's your first speech. You'll do your second speech on the second Friday, and your third speech is due by the third Friday. Again, the way you'll do all of your speeches, and your next two speeches, you will be able to select the topic yourself. The first one, you select a topic from 27. The next two, you come up with the topic yourself. And all it needs to be is 5 to 7 plus minutes, and researched and well organized and delivered extemporaneously. Now, if you don't know what extemporaneous is, that's the way I'm speaking to you now. I'm not reading anything. I have some notes so that I cover everything, but I'm speaking extemporaneously, and that's the way all your classes are delivered. So this may sound a little bit complicated, but you'll have everything in writing. You can ask me questions via text. If it gets too complicated, then we can talk on the phone. But we're all going to get through this, and you're going to be done in 3 weeks. So how's that for a 3-hour course? 1 hour a week. Now, you're going to have to invest a little more time than that. But being able to do this on your own time and allowing you to work at night or during the day, I think is an advantage to you. And so my job is to grade stuff as fast as I get it. And that's what I will try to do. Okay, so does everybody understand 1 test likely, 3 speeches. Speeches count 60% of your grade. The test counts 40% of your grade. And you can absolutely get this done, and it won't be all that much trouble. Now, what I'd like you to do, again, and I'll remind you again, make sure you text me with your name when we close this out. And we've been going almost 15 minutes now, so we have maximum of 15 left. All right, so I'm going to publish on Canvas the 27 topics from which you can choose, and I'm going to publish on campus the videos that you're supposed to watch for the take-home test. Okay? Now, in those assignments, what you are supposed to do is always a number. So, number 1, number 2, when you read number 1 and number 2, that means you're supposed to submit something onto Canvas from that. If there are instructions for number 1 or number 2, it'll be number 2A, 2B, 2C, like that. Instructions that are separate from what you actually have to turn in. Everybody got that? So everything will be labeled numerically, and what I'd like you to do first is number 1. What I'd like you to do second is number 2. Okay? And everybody knows where the syllabus is, right? Okay, very good. So let's hear now any questions that you all might have. I'm willing to entertain any questions if I have not been all that clear.
So when is the test going to be?
Oh, the test, you just any time during this first week, you should be able to finish that up, okay? And again, it'll be online, and I call it a take-home test because you are able to look back at the material over which you are being tested. Now, I'm glad you asked that question because what the test is supposed to do is this. You will view 3 videos. The videos deal with the subjects that embrace the total business of communication. Now, you know, in communication, there's a whole lot more to it than public speeches, right? You know that for sure. There's conversation, there's texting, and if you text, you're speaking, and if you read a text, you're listening. So really, there are three all-inclusive things involved in communication. They are talking, listening, and shared activities. Talking, listening, and shared activities. There's no other way that you have a relationship with other people, your dog, your parakeet, your cat, except by doing things together, by talking, and by listening. That's the way that we have relationships. So it's all inclusive. And the videos are going to have an impact on talking, listening, and shared activities because they also are basically universal. The first video you're going to watch is on the subject of time, and every one of us who is in on this call, we have X amount of time from birth to death, and that is universal, right? Absolutely universal. Of course, we've heard too much about death the past 8 or 9 weeks, I think. So that is universal as talking, listening, and shared activities. And how you spend your time has an impact on activities, has an impact on talking. For example, I went with my wife one time to a restaurant on our anniversary, our wedding anniversary, and this wasn't all that many years ago. And the first thing I did was pull out this stupid phone. And she went, and I put the phone down because I got the message pretty quickly. Well, what that basically means is, how am I using my time to have a relationship with her, to talk and to listen, and to share this activity of our anniversary? Okay? So you're going to see one on the subject of time. You are also going to see one on the subject of gender differences. And we have two sexes, XY and XX, on this call. Those are the only sexes we have. The only genders we have, XX and XY. We are chemically that way. So that also is universal and undeniable. And women and men are not alike in the way they think, in the way that they are psychologically, in the way that they are chemically, in the way that they are physically. We're all quite different. And adapting to those differences, men and women, is important. So time is a big impact on talking, listening, shared activities. Gender differences is a big impact on talking, listening, shared activities. And the last one is the major motivator. It's on the subject of happiness. Happiness. Happiness has an impact on talking, listening, and shared activities. It's the major motivator in life. And if we're emotionally healthy, what that means is we avoid pain and we seek pleasure. And I'm not talking about evil kinds of pleasure for a moment. I'm talking about real pleasure that exists, that is not just pleasure for a moment, but is real and appropriate and moral pleasure, let's say. Okay? So gender differences, time, and happiness, all of those have an impact on the three things that are universal among us all for having relationships: talking, listening, and shared activities. And so that you will view those videos on those three subjects that I talked about: time, gender differences, and happiness. And you will have a test over those videos. And you will, all you have to do is write A, B, C, whatever you think the correct answer is. Okay, everybody understand that? And that'll be available to you this week. And I just gave you the shortest explanation I can possibly give on it. And again, I have recorded this, and I will post this for anybody who missed it and wants to be refreshed, or whatever. It'll be available. Now, also, tomorrow morning at the latest, I'm going to record a PowerPoint video on the same subject matter from the 27 subjects I told you I would provide you, and you choose one. Any one you choose will be just fine. So, any one of those 27. Are there any questions at this point? We're now here close to the end of this 30-minute period here.
You said those topic choices are going to be posted by tomorrow?
No, I'll post those topics. I'll post them as soon as we hang up here. In fact, they are on Canvas already, and I will just hit publish, and there it'll be available for you to look at. They are on the subjects of fascism, communism, socialism. And the reason I choose those topics and force that upon you is that, unlike the education that I experienced when I was in high school, nobody's educated on those subjects anymore. And it's kind of hard to avoid with the Wuhan virus from the Chinese Communist Party and China, that there isn't communism, socialism in the world. And I think that we need to know what it's about. So that's your first subject. And I'm going to give a hint to the women among you. You would find that the Margaret Sanger topic there might be very interesting to you. Margaret Sanger started the business of making birth control legal. Margaret Sanger started the organization which has morphed into Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger put her birth control clinics near minority neighborhoods, and she started this thing called the Negro Project, and she was a eugenicist, and she spoke before the women of the Ku Klux Klan. So I think you might find her interesting. You may have heard her name before, Margaret Sanger. And anyway, I just put that out there for you women, and I don't care if all of you women choose the same one, because I'm going to view each of these speeches separately, and it's okay if you choose the same topic, 2 people, 3 people, or say all the women. Anyway, I just put that out as a suggestion that you might want to explore. Okay, like I said, I will publish that as soon as we hang up here in about 7 or 8 minutes. Are there any other questions? Because I'd like to answer whatever is running through your heads. Any questions at all?
I know you said that you'd rather for us to talk freely to give our speeches, but do we have to even write anything the slightest thing down to turn it in maybe just for
No.
for a reference for
No.
you? Okay.
No. Here's what you have to do. You have to make a PowerPoint, and I will see that. I will show you when I make my PowerPoint and I speak. I'll make sure that the PowerPoint shows and you can hear me speaking. And I will speak extemporaneously. So I don't need a list of sources for you to turn in, submit, but I would like to have sources at the end of your PowerPoint where I could peek at them. Does that answer your question, young lady?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay. Now, since this is paced by you and the limitation is the 29th of May, don't let everything pile up on you. I had this spring semester about 8 incompletes, and 3 people finished up really quickly, like a day or 2 after I had to turn in the grades, and I changed the grades. So pace yourself such that you get what I put out for a particular week, that you get that week's material done that week, and you won't be pressured when it gets to the 29th of May. And who knows, you may like this well enough to where you sign up for some other course during the June session or during the July-August session. Who knows? Because this is a way that you can get ahead quickly, more quickly than by doing nothing. And if I remember right, I think UT Martin has made these online courses less expensive than they normally are. So anyway, I would encourage you to do that. If you like the experience that you have with me, you might want to try it for the rest of the summer and maybe get ahead a little bit. I know the way I graduated from high school in 3 years was I went to summer school. It's not because I was a genius. I'm not. And I could have graduated from college in 3 years the same way, except I had to remain around to finish up ROTC because I did that. I was an Army officer for 28 years, so I get a pension. Now, we're running out of time, so I need to let this go. Are there any more questions? Because we do have time to answer something else if I need to do it. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, I'm going to remind you right now, and then we'll end this. Please, just as soon as I end this session, I'm going to give my number once again in case you didn't get it down. 731-608-4148. Text me when I end this with your name. And please feel free to communicate with me in that way. I will do things regarding assignments in email to you because that's the only sensible way that I can do it. But if you have any questions, I will see them immediately in text and I will answer them very quickly. Okay? All right? I'm yours. So use me. And again, if you are confused even after the texting, what did I say you could do? We could talk on the telephone. I had to do that 2 or 3 times during the spring. Okay, if there are no further questions, then I'm going to end this call, and we'll talk again later, but I'll make sure that I let you know just like I did this time. And it was a pleasure talking with you from Gatlinburg all the way almost to the Mississippi River. Okay, bye-bye.
Office. He'll close up